everybody, and welcome to episode 36 of the Thunder Gals.
30? Wait, 6.
Yes,
I'm
she
terrible.
can do it, y'all. She's got the hand gestures. My
I'm
co-host,
trying.
Paula.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I was on the injury list, but I'm back. I have a bit of a minutes restriction, but everything's good. So,
She's day to
how are
day and
you
on a
this week,
minutes
Britt?
restriction, but she came back to be here with you
Yes.
all because it was draft week. There's already been big moves happening. And so we
Mm-hmm.
knew we had to talk to y'all, Thunder Nation, because it's been an emotional week, right?
It has. It's been
Um,
an expected emotional week,
yes.
I think.
Still, you expect things to happen and they still hurt in the moment. And so we totally get that. I know a lot of y'all, I saw many of our followers on Threads were posting their very heartfelt emotions about losing both Wiggins and Joe this week. Those are two guys that they were on the championship team. Wiggins had that amazing championship parade day speech where he really like stuck up for the city and just, we had the whole Aaron Wiggins saving basketball season that was in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so we had a lot of love for him. We had Cup of Joe, Michael
Mm-hmm.
Cage's, oh, another Cup of Joe every time Isaiah would make a three-pointer. And, he's a Fort Smith native, so kind of in the local market, in the Thunder market. And so we love those guys. But as listeners of this show, you all who do pay attention and follow along with us, you had some idea those two guys were likely going to be on the potential trade list this summer because we needed both roster spots to put, where do you put first round picks that are guaranteed a contract? You
Mm-hmm.
can't bring everybody back, and so somebody was going to fall casualty to this at some point, and this happened, and those were two guys we kind of anticipated might be the ones to go because, frankly, as much as they were great in the regular season for this Thunder squad, maybe Wiggins not even so much this season like last year. They kind
Yeah.
of fell out of the rotation in the playoffs, and we brought in Jared McCain, who was eating up a lot of those Isaiah Joe minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
Wiggins didn't really play at all in the playoffs. So it is
They
what
were
it
like
is.
ninth and 10th in the roster, I would say. And
Yeah,
so when you get down there, you have to start looking at the financial aspects. If you've got AJ and Jared McCain for a third of what Isaiah Joe and Wiggins together combined, what do you it it's a no-brainer, you
yeah.
know?
Financially, it makes sense. They've got young guys that need those minutes that are on the upswing right now. And, in good Sam Presti fashion, he made sure that these guys are getting sent to teams where they are likely to have increased roles from what they had with this Thunder squad.
Yeah.
I fully anticipate Wiggins to get real minutes with the Hawks next year. And Isaiah Joe is exactly what the Pistons were looking for this summer. They
Yeah.
have
This will be
zero
great for
shooting around Cade Cunningham, and he needed a shooter to pass to. This
yeah.
this is a great pickup for them.
We will miss them. I mean, we we always hate to see players go. We it's just there we're such a tight-knit community and we are so bought into the team that when changes happen, it's stressful. We understand. We understand. But in our hearts, it's difficult. And,
Yeah.
it's I think this week, I think it really marks the end of, you know, everybody stays era.
Yeah.
We're not keeping everybody. We can't. Now we're to a point with the core extensions and everything in the next few years. The second apron is just ugly for us if we don't do anything.
Yeah, and that second apron, for those of you who may be more casual, it's part of the collective bargaining agreement and the whole salary cap system. And it's basically a place where if your salary for your team gets over that certain number, it restricts a lot of what you can do trade wise, team building wise, free agent signing wise, and it makes it almost impossible for your team to make any moves at all. And so you're
Yeah,
really locked in once you hit that. So if you're gonna be over that, you better be thinking this is our team that's gonna win a championship because
yeah.
otherwise you are really not in a good place.
And I salute them. We're gonna miss them, and I'm so happy to watch them thrive somewhere else. I love watching our players, if they get an opportunity, love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
And we know you all will cheer loudly for them when they come back through OKC. They're going to get their flowers and they're always going to be beloved, just like, Steven Adams and other guys we've had along the way, still get those warm welcomes when they come back through. So they are Thunder for life, regardless of where they may be playing in the next couple seasons.
Forever Thunder Legends.
That's right.
And
Um,
speaking of Thunder Legends, we had an extension this week.
We did indeed, and in fact, this extension made somewhat possible by moving on from Wiggins and Joe to clear up a little bit of extra salary space to make it easier to come to terms with Isaiah Hartenstein. So, as we kind of anticipated on this show, we did think there would be some kind of negotiated extension that rather than him being forced back on the team option for next year, they would come to some deal that would change his salary a little bit and guarantee him a couple extra years. What he did is a 3 year, $75 million extension, which is a little higher. We were kind of thinking maybe 4 years, 80 or something, but still a steal.
Yeah.
If he were out on the open market this summer, like the Lakers would probably pay him 30 million a year to come
Oh,
over there. Like,
listen,
there are teams that would pay serious money to have Isaiah Hartenstein as their starting center. And he's our Wemby stopper. Like I know a lot of people made some comments after the draft that the Thunder went
I
and
have thoughts
drafted a
about that.
Wemby stopper, but what the Thunder did, last night as we're recording here Saturday morning by coming to terms with Hartenstein as they re-signed their Wemby stopper.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm glad that iHeart is staying. One of the interesting things about this extension was they have a mutual agreement to have discussions before the 28-29 season. So it's not just player option or team option. They're going to have conversations. And I think that's an interesting way to address it. It's not just a final one and done thing.
Yeah, and this is a super team friendly deal. But in exchange, iHeart did negotiate in a 15% trade kicker, which means they have to pay him several $1 million extra if they trade him during the life of this contract.
Hmm.
And so he's kind of saying, hey, I'll take the discount to stay here, but if you're going to kick me elsewhere where I'm not necessarily with a championship level program, I want a little extra money to make up for the fact that I took less to stay here in a winning program. So this is a really creative kind of mutually beneficial kind of deal. And And what a difference in negotiations from somebody like you're seeing in Detroit with Jalen Duren, where, Jalen Duren's a restricted free agent and trying to
Mhm.
negotiate a deal. And he was apparently, so incensed by the offer he got from the Pistons that he's, saying publicly that he's requesting a sign and trade. And like, it's probably just posturing, but that's very a much more contentious negotiation that does not necessarily give one a lot of great feelings about like the team mentality going on in that
No.
building.
Now, granted, you don't hear a lot from outside of the Thunder locker room, but that is not a good negotiation tactic. I mean, you're gonna talk crap on the team that's gonna be paying you. Why? You're not incentivizing them. It's
It's
just,
it's it's a tough one. I can see like the thinking in it, but I don't think it was probably a good approach, and it especially because you are restricted, like, even if you go out there and get offers, they don't have to give you a sign and trade. They can just match any offer you bring them, and
hmm
you're still stuck there. So
yeah.
it's certainly risky on behalf of him and his agent to take that approach, but very different than iHeart working with Sam, working with the team. And we got a sense from iHeart. We've spent so much time talking about him on this show because frankly, of all the players, he probably is actually in the community the most of any Thunder player.
hmm
If you've watched any of the documentaries that the Thunder make, iHeart made one of them about the Oklahoma Standard documentary. Like,
hmm
he was instrumental in that project. It was clear that, coming to Oklahoma City and going to the memorial really changed his whole view of what situation he was even coming into and
hmm
gave him a certain appreciation for the city. And he's really thrown himself in fully into the city. And, I think he just really wanted to be home. I hear his wife is originally from Texas, so I think
hmm
she digs the vibe more in like Oklahoma, Texas than she did up in like New York. So,
Yeah, it's a different
that
vibe.
I think it's just it works. He likes it, his wife likes it, his family is very involved in the community. So he was willing to make a team friendly deal to stay a big part of a winning program. This also gives a chance for him to mentor our new draft pick, Aday Mara, who
Yeah,
could end up being his replacement in a couple years, but he made
yeah.
sure to negotiate in some bonuses. So, hey, if this guy does come up and replace me and you need to trade me, I get a little extra money and like we're all happy that way.
hmm For sure. I mean, and the way that the draft picks looked, like none of them are win now. They
No,
are, I don't want to say that they're projects, but you know, they need to be built up and, earn their
give
stripes. I don't know how else to put it.
and given some playing time, which,
Yeah.
might not have happened. Have we if we do everything we can to keep Wiggins and Joe and maybe just stash these guys at the very end of the roster, like then they're not going to get any minutes or any
Mhm.
chance to really grow and learn. So, Bennett Stirtz, from what I gather in some of the clips I've seen of him in college, he is a legit deep three-point shooter in like the Steph
Yeah.
Curry mold of like can shoot threes from the logo with ease kind of shooter. Um,
Nothing wrong with that.
Isaiah Joe was a knockdown three-point shooter, but more traditional. He started adding that three-pointer that was maybe about 4 feet behind the three-point line here in the last year, but Sturts is like a legit deep three-point shooter. So like
Yeah.
that's gonna be fun to see him soak up some minutes on the bench and see what he can really do.
He really seems to fit the Thunder player mold if you start looking overall what he does and,
I
high
did
basketball IQ, decision maker, efficient, competitive, those kind of things.
I did watch the press conference where they introduced the rookies yesterday afternoon.
Hmm.
Sturtz grew up in Liberty, Missouri, which is a suburb of Kansas City, so not
Oh, that's
super
just up
far
there.
from Oklahoma City.
Mm-mm.
And his family actually was kind of Thunder fans growing up. He went to his first Thunder game in 2012 during the KD Russ Harden year and said it was just an amazing experience. It was his first ever NBA game was in Oklahoma City with the original Thunder trio. And his brother was a big Thunder fan growing up. So for him and his family, this is a really neat opportunity to kind of play for the closest NBA team to where he's from. And he said his family was really happy that he got drafted somewhere they can easily drive to.
Yeah, no
So,
doubt.
it's really cool for him. You know, if he can play like I saw in some of these clips of what he was doing at Iowa last year, I think we got ourselves a heck of a bench player.
I think that'll be amazing. Just looking forward. Samuel always does this. He never looks to October. He looks to October 3 years from now.
Yeah,
He always talks about building up and, why does he need so many draft picks? Why does he need so many this to do exactly what he did this past week?
yeah.
You know, you're going to continue to build because you're future looking.
Yeah, and what we know about this salary cap era is the way to keep a team like this mostly together is to be able to fill out the roster with usable pieces that are on rookie scale contracts that
Hmm.
can fit within the framework of this collective bargaining agreement. So it's a masterful job that Sam's doing. And, when we go to the draft, Aday Mara being picked number 12, we got to talk
With
about
the
this
12th
guy.
pick.
Think about this. The last time we picked a center at pick number 12 was one Steven Adams,
Mm,
who some Thunder fans weren't as excited about right at first. And we all remember how quickly we fell in love with him once he started actually playing for us. So
instantly. Instantly.
I want to talk a bit about this Mara and why the Wemby Stopper headlines came up, which
Yeah, I have opinions. Go ahead, you first.
let's compare them physically though. So from their combine measurements during the pre-draft process, Victor Wembanyama measured in barefoot at 7 foot 3.5. Mara barefoot 7 foot 3. So just a half-inch height difference between these two guys. Now, Wimby does have a longer wingspan of 8 feet compared to Mara's 7 foot 6 wingspan.
Hmm.
However, somehow, even though Wimby has the longer wingspan, Mara has the higher standing reach of 9 foot 9 inches. So that means flat footed, the very top of what you can reach to without tippy toeing. Mara's is 9 foot 9, so 3 inches from the rim. Wimby's
Dang.
standing reach is 9 foot 7. So we're talking a very physically imposing figure, and he weighs in about 30 pounds heavier than Wemby. So kind of much thicker frame,
Hmm.
maybe a little more in the Rudy Gobert mold of frame, but with a lot more offensive passing touch than Gobert has. So I think he's actually a really fantastic prospect. I wouldn't have necessarily liked it had we had to give up pieces to trade into the top 10 to pick him up.
Hmm.
But at 12, without having to make any moves at all, I think it was a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's so funny. Always the day after drafts, you just see everywhere. Sam just can't keep getting away with this. There's a problem. He just can't. Well, he can. But the
I mean,
thing,
hey, 11 other teams had the chance to prevent Sam Presti from picking this guy.
that's what
So,
we always say. It's like you guys had the chance and you whiffed it. So,
hey,
but
you want to let us get a 7 foot 3.5 guy, you know?
sure.
I love the pairing, having him be able to be mentored by Hartenstein. Because while Hartenstein doesn't have that 7 foot 3 body, he's got that similar bulky frame.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's also similarly known to be a really good passer, but not necessarily a great shooter. So they're kind of very similar styles. And man, if Mara can end up being anything like Hartenstein as far as like being the centerpiece passing through the offense like that, then we just got an amazing player for the future because he is the kind of imposing player on the defensive end that, similar to Wemby, will just cause people to just not even drive the ball.
Yeah. I think the thing that really got me with the whole Wemby Stopper thing, it's like, first off, this kid is new. He doesn't, I mean, he's not ready to go out there and start and just shut down Wemby. No, that's not going to happen next season.
No.
And to me, I heard a lot of disregarding of Chet, almost like Mara was replacing Chet. And I'm like, again, let me reiterate, with the 12th pick, we have a brand new draft player. That's it. He's brand new. He's not going to change the world next week, next season. It's not, I mean, I would
No.
love to be proven wrong, but come on. There's so much hopium just going on out there. It's
I mean, I get why people are doing it. It certainly it's a great narrative to drive clicks and get people to watch your videos or, click on your posts. But the reality is, he played like 12 minutes a game in college. He's not ready to play starter level minutes in the NBA.
oh,
He's going to take some time to develop. And again, that's why I wouldn't have loved giving stuff up to go get him in the top 10. But
yeah,
hey, if he's gonna fall into our laps at 12, then yeah, you take him. Like all the other
instantly.
guys I had ahead of him had all been taken anyway. So,
Hmm.
it's just how it crumbled. And, I think he could end up being like the Hartenstein replacement 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe right about the time that Hartenstein extension is ending.
Yeah.
Then that's perfect.
I think there was a lot of consideration put into the Hartenstein negotiations and the anticipation of what might be going on by the 28-29 year. How have these draftees from this year developed? You know, now they could surprise us and the 27-28 year, Mara could just be blowing the doors off of things. But I think it was really smart of iHeart to really build that in. And I think it was great that the Thunder worked with them and understood the potential possibilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's creative problem solving and creative negotiating. And as somebody who's trained in mediation, by the way, open if you need a mediator in Oklahoma or Minnesota, give me a call. Um, as somebody trained in that, one of the things I was trained on is helping the parties find creative solutions to their negotiations. And it seems like these folks, particularly in the OKC front office, are very adept at this and able to, Sam really leads a crew that comes into these creative and collaboratively rather than contentiously and looking at it as a you versus us negotiation. And instead looks at it as an our negotiation, not a you versus us negotiation.
Yeah, for real. But oh, I forgot one thing about the Wiggins trade to Atlanta. He's got Cason Wallace's brother. So he's got a Wallace
Yep.
and he's got Gilgis Alexander's cousin, which it's Alexander Walker.
Nikhil Alexander Walker. Did you know
So
Nikhil Alexander Walker is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin? Did you know? Did you know?
what? I wish somebody would have told us that. We
Oh
can't
my
get
God, I
them.
still can't get over how in that Western Conference Finals 2 years ago, it was like every 2 minutes from the broadcast team. Like, yeah, you've told us 50 times already. I think we get
I think we
it.
get it. So see, he gets some built-in family there
Yeah, I'm
automatically.
sure he already knows those guys because they
Yeah.
bring their family members around to games and stuff. So I bet that's a really nice situation, and it's closer to home for Wiggins. Wiggins grew up in I think North Carolina, so
Mm.
it's a little closer for him to get home and his family to games and stuff. So Sam's always looking out, trying to get players to places where it's actually beneficial for them. So. And we got picks out of the deal. And I know some people are like, oh, certainly Isaiah Joe is worth more than 2 second round picks. Like, maybe in a vacuum that might be true, but not in the world of, you know, between season NBA roster move trades. When you start factoring in salary cap considerations, and when you look at these were movable contracts. The
Yeah.
fact that we got picks back, you look at somebody like Minnesota, they had to trade a first round pick with Julius Randle to get the Nets to take Randle's contract on. Like they had to literally give away a pick to be able to get off of that contract. Whereas the Thunder brought picks back in exchange for these contracts. That tells you the level that Sam is playing at is that he already had this thought out 3 years ago of
Hmm.
like, what might I need to move in a few years? I better make sure those guys are on contracts that are movable. Because if I signed them to something way too big for what they actually bring to the table, then I'm going to have to attach assets to even trade them away.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I kind of look at it as, you know, almost cash considerations, because it takes us down, you know, on the apron tremendously, both of them. Yeah, so we didn't get anything, monetary back and we didn't get, another player back, but we saved a whole bunch of money. So to me, that opened us up to do a whole range of other things.
Yeah, and it opened up these roster spots so that now Sturtz and Mara can sign their deals and have a roster spot and they're good to go. And you
Hmm.
got to remember, under this collective bargaining agreement, every first round draft pick is guaranteed at least a 2 year contract.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to find a spot for this person on your team if you draft them, or you have to trade them away before the season starts because you would have nowhere to put them. So, you don't want to waste these assets, and these rookie scale contracts are some of the best assets you can have building a team under this CBA system. And Sam knows what he's doing.
Yeah. In Presti, we trust.
That's right. Um, We also picked up in the second round Otega Oweh, who I guess played his first couple years of college basketball at Oklahoma.
Hmm.
So during the press conference, he talked about how it was kind of felt like coming home a little bit for him because he got his like kind of basketball start in college at OU and not far down the road.
Mhm.
He said he was particularly excited about the way Oklahoma City really embraces the Thunder and that it's a Thunder town. And like, when he
Absolutely.
transferred from OU, he went to Kentucky, which was like, that is a basketball first school. So he's excited to be in like a basketball first city that like really gets all in on their team. So he's very excited for that. From what I gather from scouts, I don't know a lot about his game, but I've heard a lot of comparisons to kind of where Lou Dort was when the Thunder brought him into the league on a two-way contract, that he's the kind of guy who probably will get a two-way deal going into this season, which means he doesn't have to be one of our 15 roster spots. He'll be probably 16 or 17 on the roster and will be playing much more for the Oklahoma City Blue. But I think he's a guy that kind of could fit into long term being a replacement in that Lou Dort, Case and Wallace mold to keep bringing guys like that into the system to have them ready as those guys get older and move on to different roles and different places.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be ready to replace Lou if Lou goes anywhere this offseason.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest question mark still hanging over this roster right now, is the Lou Dort question. It is a team option. We should know in the next couple days. I believe that option has to be exercised by the 29th or 30th. So I think by Monday or Tuesday, we'll probably know a little more, or maybe like news is breaking right now as we're talking.
Probably.
Or as
Probably.
or I'm editing as it drops here this afternoon or something. But that's the question mark that we have right this minute, is what happens with Lou Dort. Case and Wallace, he needs a bigger role. I think he probably deserves to start over Dort at this point. I think he's got everything that Lou brings on the defensive end, but with an even slightly better offensive game than what Lou really brings to the table. He kind of sounded like somebody at exit interviews who's looking for this bigger role. He's about to be due for an extension coming off of his rookie deal at the end of next year, so we can extend him this summer. Feels like if we want to give him what he deserves and keep him longer term, as Lou's kind of starting the decline of his athleticism as he's gotten a bit older, this might be a moment where you move on from Lou and get some future assets. I don't know. It's a tough call because I think we all recognize that Lou brings something to this culture and his toughness and his attitude that is a part of the leadership of this team. And we all know he's very tight with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They play together on Team Canada. So yeah, who it's hard to know what's going to happen here.
I don't know. I still keep going back to the fact that he signed with Clutch.
I
And
mean, this really is his last chance in his career to get a really big payday. Like, this is his chance to get a big payday contract. And if that's what he wants and he doesn't want to do a Hartenstein like team friendly extension, then I think you say, we love you, Lube. Best of luck and definitely go get your money. You deserve it. Like,
absolutely.
um, and if that's the case, I won't hate him. This isn't a KD situation.
Mm-mm.
Like
No.
this is different scenario, and I would forever love Lou Dort, and we'll always have that game 5 against Denver where he drained a bunch of threes to help us win that series.
Yeah. And I still go back to the bubble. I mean, we were one fingertip away in game 7.
Yeah. He's been an amazing part of this team, the longest tenured player on this squad. So if we do lose him, it'll probably hurt more than Wiggins and Joe combined, even as much as we love
Yeah.
them. But he's truly been a part of this squad for the whole decade. So it will be bittersweet if he goes to get his money. I will be happy for him, happy as heck for what he's done as
Hmm.
an undrafted free agent who came in and Sam
Absolutely.
gave him a shot with the blue, and before you know it, like, look what this guy turned into.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, Samuel saw something that nobody who had an opportunity to draft him saw,
Yeah,
you know? And then we ended up having the torture chamber.
that's
So,
right. And that's why we trust Sam. We know that our scouting department has done their homework and nobody's being brought into this team that they don't think has a chance to flourish. And then if that person doesn't flourish in our system, they've always found a way to get off them and get some assets back.
mhm.
We got assets back for Usman Jang. It didn't work out in OKC. That's fine. He's had some good games up in Milwaukee since then. So,
Yeah.
hopefully he'll have a good season there as their team is being completely rebuilt as Giannis is now in Miami and
That is just chaos that's going. And the Timberwolves, they've got chaos going on too. And there's it's almost like you take the rosters on little pieces of paper, fling them in the air, and what you can grab, there's your roster for next year.
tell you what, this will help Thunder fans feel a little better. Like, when I had to tell my husband about the LaMelo Ball to Minnesota trade, losing Nas Reed. We were eating breakfast and he literally like threw his fork down at the
Oh,
table. Like, what? He was so mad. Uh,
yeah.
I even heard like old white guys who were working on the house behind me up here in this tiny town, like talking about the roster the other morning, and I was like, they're talking about the Wolves up here, and like this isn't even basket, this is hockey country.
Yeah, that one surprised me. I thought Nas was gonna stay. So it'll be interesting to see how LaMelo fits in.
Yeah, I don't know. It will be exciting as a team to watch offensively. It's completely changing like the tenor of that team. They will be probably more offensive focused than defensive focused, which has been their identity the last few years. But my concern, if and I'm a secondary Wolves fan through my husband, is this doesn't seem like it makes them better than OKC or San Antonio.
Mm-mm.
And like if you're not making your team better than them, but now you don't even control your own first round pick until like 2034. Like,
Crazy.
you want to talk about team management that's scary looking. If this
Nope.
doesn't work out in a season, I fear that the Timberwolves have just gone down the same road that Milwaukee did with Giannis. So where they're going to try to make splashy trades every summer to try and keep Anthony Edwards happy.
No, I think Anthony Edwards, I think next year will determine whether or not Ant stays.
I
Because
don't see this going any better. I don't see how this gets them to the top of the West.
no,
So
I don't know. Yeah, I to me, it's like watching a slow car crash. Like you see it coming. It's
they
like
might end up
that's
being a
gonna
slightly
hit.
better regular season team. Like I could see them being like a top 3 or 4 record, but
Sure,
I don't think
they're
that
not they're not better
it
than San
doesn't
Antonio
change
or
their
us
chances
or
in the playoffs.
no. I don't even think they're better than the Nugs.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, Nas Reed had a big role in beating the
Hmm.
Nuggets these last couple seasons, so yeah, I don't
As,
know.
as Sarah used to say on Threads, 2 words, Nas Reed.
Man, so many people in Minnesota have like Nas Reed tattoos and stuff.
Mhm.
Like this is, you think we loved Isaiah Joe, like they love Nas Reed up here.
Yeah.
Like this one really hurt the fan base in a lot of ways, and they're real skeptical of what this is gonna look like.
I don't know.
Makes me even more thankful for Sam Presti. And, at least I can rationally see what's happening and like why the moves are happening. We're not losing assets to get off of guys like Julius Randle.
The funny thing is, we always talk about the Thunder is so closed mouthed, like close to the vest. You don't hear any of these things, but there's just enough info if you pay attention, if you're a sicko like us, that you can anticipate what might happen. So you see moves, whereas other people, when they're not as invested as us, they're completely shocked and why did this happen and why are we going and why are they gone? And it's just funny because again, this information didn't come from the Thunder, you
No.
know? And so it was all speculation from, the masses.
Yeah. And we've had years of experience to kind of figure out who we listen to that we actually think has legit info from kind of what the Thunder thinking is, or who
Yeah.
at least is around the team enough and around like the culture enough to have a little more insight. Definitely the guys that cover like on the OKC Dream Team, like Brett Dawson and Joe Masato and John Hamm and Andrew Schlecht, those guys, they're so plugged in
Hmm.
that like they try to give the rational legit scoops of what they can glean from the people they talk to and from just covering the team for so long that
Yeah.
you kind of know a little bit about how Sam thinks. And because he does these 2.5 hour press conferences once a year where he really gives you a lot of insight into his thinking, and he gives long form answers that really divulge a lot about how he approaches questions and how he approaches, these roster ideas. Like they glean from all of that and can put that together into this is a guy who has a vision. And like if you're paying attention to what he's telling you his vision is,
Hmm.
you can have some idea what the moves might be.
John Hamm is crazy knowledgeable when it comes to aprons and cap space and everything. So if you ever want to know numbers, like John's your guy, and you can get lost in the details, but he explains it so like you can understand it if
Yeah.
you're slightly invested.
He
So,
tries to break it down into digestible chunks.
yeah. And Andrew's just Andrew. He's just good.
Now, before we go, I do want to share I'm wearing my Paul George jersey today. And why am I wearing my Paul George jersey, you might ask? Well, Tuesday night's draft with the number 12 pick of Aday Mara, the that was the final pick from that 2019 trade that sent Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to the Thunder with all of those first round picks.
Yep.
So we can now say the Paul George trade is officially done. And the Thunder got J-Dub, they got Shea, they got this Aday Mara guy, like they got Trey Mann was one of the picks that was in there. So just what a haul the Thunder got out of that trade. And if Aday Mara turns into anything in these next few years, like that makes that trade even more lopsided.
Listen, that will go down in history. It just flat out will. And Paul George will forever be a Thunder legend for that. There's just
Yeah.
I don't care where he goes, what he does. I will always be rooting for that man because of where we are now.
And you know
And it's
what?
not just,
He was another one who signed an extension to stay in OKC when everyone was like, "Oh, he's definitely going to LA." And like,
hmm
no, he signed that deal to give it another run. He really was invested. And then when it didn't work out and Kawhi wanted him to join him in LA, he made sure the Thunder got stuff in return. Like
yeah,
he didn't leave us high and dry. Like he had a role in why we got all those picks. So, yeah, Thunder legend Paul George. Good in my books.
yeah. Well, this was a very exciting week that had some unexpected moves, but the draft week is always interesting because you just never know what's going to play out during draft nights. And so this week has been just full of things. So
Yep.
maybe next week we'll have a little bit of quiet, maybe.
N- Maybe not, because free agency starts July 1st. So, probably, we got the Lou Dort situation hanging over us.
Oh, that's
Kenrich
right.
Williams, the team option on Kenrich is still out there that we don't know quite what's going on there. So, still probably some things that can happen over the next week. And then next week, we'll also talk a little more about the upcoming Summer League. The Thunder will be
That's
playing
what I
in
was focused on.
Thunder will play in two of them. We will be playing in the Salt Lake City Summer League beginning July 4th with our first game against Memphis on 2 p.m. July 4th afternoon. And then we will be playing in the Las Vegas Summer League beginning July 10th against the Lakers at 9 p.m. on Prime. So you will have some chances to watch some of these games and see our new rookies, see
Yeah.
these new draft picks in action. That's going to be fun. And as something came up on the Down to Dunk Friday podcast, was they talked about, well, the Knicks got the double by winning the NBA Cup and the NBA championship in the same season. So
hmm
now the Thunder have to go for the treble, win the Summer League championship, the NBA Cup, and the NBA championship all in one season. So now we have something to root for in Summer League.
I'm excited. It's always neat to see, you know, just to get a glimpse of the new players. You're never going to see a full, complete picture of them, but it's interesting just to get a bit of a view of why Samuel picked them.
I started watching the Summer League for this squad when they still didn't even have the Thunder name. When Russell Westbrook was the first draft pick, wearing just the generic black jersey with Oklahoma City scripted over a basketball, just black and white and gray.
You know,
No color
Oklahoma City.
scheme, just Team Oklahoma City. So this is going to be fun as we're going into our 19th Summer League as a squad. It's wow.
I love it. I love it. So, well, then we'll see what happens next week. There's always something going on.
There's definitely going to be more to talk about over these next couple weeks with free agency starting, with Summer League starting. So we'll be back with you then. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you have not
Press
already.
that button.
And, like us, give us 5 stars, whatever it is, on whatever app you're listening on. And make sure you're on our YouTube and subscribe there, and then you get to see Paula's hand gestures.
I promise they're not crude all the time.
All right. Peace and thunder up, y'all.
Bye.